Yay, yay, yay. Wands up, witches. Buckle in, baby. We're going to get on our brooms today because we flying high today. Let me just get my windows in order here. I have been having so much fun this morning ever since I woke up, so I better get going here or I'll just babble on incoherently. And there's things that I am very excited to talk about, so let me get going here. Okay. And perhaps you took a look at the blog and saw all the memes that I posted this morning that were, I'm on fire with a passion. I feel like I'd been, at some point, probably during the pandemic, where I let fear creep in and slowly begin to take root. And this year, I've been here almost a year in West Hollywood. On the 16th, it will be a year since I moved back. It's been, weeding and ripping out the roots of all that fear to get to where I really feel like I'm starting to just have wonderful momentum going and replacing that fear with boldness and audacity. And that's really what I was feeling today, is a kind of boldness and audacity. I have no fear at this point now about offending anyone. I got zero shits to give of people who want to stay meek and small. Let me just tell you, the meek will not inherit the fucking earth. Look around. You can see that the earth has been taken over by the hateful. And so the meek ain't gonna get shit. I love that Raymond Charles Barker used to say, in the scriptures it says the meek can inherit the earth. They can have it. So, not concerned about the earth or the world, but about the kingdom. There's a guy that I watch on TikTok. I love him. He is hilarious. So this audacious, fabulous black guy who will, a lot of times his videos are watching other people cook, and whether he loves it or doesn't love it, and he will say, that is not of the kingdom. So I've taken that on of things that are not of the kingdom, and fear is not of the kingdom. And so if you saw the memes today, you saw that I went back to something that I did. I feel like I'm coming full circle to when I was at my most alive and my most bold and my most audacious. And that's where I am most happy, and that's where I feel like I am really getting rooted in again. And so couple of the memes said that reality is my bitch. And I want you to know that that is scriptural. That's at the very beginning, right away in Genesis, where it says, you have dominion, take it. So that's one of the memes then that I made. I'm going to read that here. And I called it Reality is My Bitch. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the fowl of the air, and the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female, he created them. And God blessed them, and said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over it. The fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, over every living thing. We have dominion. So there is nothing spiritual about being, thank you, Susan, about being meek and weak and wimpy and being a baby and hoping that things will get better. And I know that crept into me to some degree when I let fear in the door, and I have kicked fear to the curb. So to me, this time is about swinging for the fences, bold statements, fearlessness, courage, and confidence in that spirit and presence within us for which all things are possible. So that's been one of my things. It's like I have relinquished any kind of vow of poverty. Let me just tell you a couple of little stories here. What partly has woken me up. So Monday afternoon, I went into hell. I went way, way into hell. And the reason I went into hell was because I got in somebody else's yard, in somebody else's business. And what I saw was this, there's a podcast that I don't watch many podcasts. There's only really one or two. And I don't listen to them, I watch them on video. So there was one that I thought was this really positive thing. And then this week, the person chose a guest that I think of as a heinous, awful, dark energy, just ego-centered, terrible person. And it just threw me into hell for like hours. I was in hell for hours of like, what the fuck is this person doing? I thought that they were a person of the light. I thought they were a person of joy. And now they're doing this, which was me being in their yard, because it's their podcast. They can have any fucking buddy on they want. That is none of my business. And that's what I woke up to was, what are you doing over there in their yard? Just unsubscribe, which I did. I just unsubscribed, deleted it, put it so it won't come up on my feed anymore. I'm done. When people show you who they are, believe them. You don't have to get in their yard and judge them and hate them. You just go, I'm not going to put that in my pie. We might have get to that later of, don't put those unwanted ingredients in your pie. One of the things that happened, last, like, this would have been like last September or October after I moved back, there was a restaurant close by here that I would go to maybe once a week. It was like an Italian cafe. I really loved the food there. I liked the ambiance. It was always sort of, not super crowded at lunch, but there were usually, it was at least half full. And so I went there, and there's like nobody there. Like I'm the only person there for lunch. And it's some of the same staff is there. And it just seemed very odd to me. I mean, I'd been away for a year, but I'd eaten there during the pandemic when it had outdoor seating and all of that. And, I was never alone there. There were always other people there. So it was just kind of like a mystery to me. And so I thought, well, I don't know what's going on. So I just Googled it. And what had transpired during that year that I was away was it was discovered that the woman who owned the place, who was always sort of an odd bird anyhow, turned out she was basically a fucking Nazi. So she had been seen on film, like, yelling at Jewish people, anti-Semitic, horrible shit, like, on video. And so the place her restaurant had then been picketed later, and basically it just emptied out. And she eventually left that space and went somewhere else. But then I was like, well, fuck, now I can't go there because this person's a Nazi. But the difference there is I didn't get into her yard, and I was like, okay, not interested in that at all. And I just was like, I'll never go there again. It's out of my... But the other day when I went into someone's yard, I was just like, I was disappointed. I was this or that because, I had a story about who I thought this person was. And this person is not even anyone I know personally. It's none of my fucking business. Do what you want. But I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to watch it. And so what that really brought to me was the recognition of how one of the things that has transpired over the last few years is that darkness has gotten extremely bold and audacious. So things that would not have been said out loud or in public, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, is now accepted and celebrated and has a foothold. And so I just thought like, well, that's the problem is that as light workers, we're too often too passive and trying to be spiritual, and so we're meek and we're not as audacious for the light. Now, this is not about arguing or fighting or resisting or going against, because again, I posted this other meme here, no spiritual warriors. So here in 2 Chronicles, it says, you shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourself, stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you. Fear not. Be not dismayed. Tomorrow go out, for the Lord will be with you. Fear not, for the battle is not yours. And then the Course in Miracles says, when the temptation to attack rises to make your mind darken and murderous, remember that you can see the battle from above. Even in forms you don't recognize, the signs you know. There is a stab of pain, a twinge of guilt, and above all, a loss of peace. This you know well. This is exactly where I went when I started judging this person. And their podcast was, I felt all those things: pain, guilt, loss of peace. This you know well. When they occur, leave not your place on high, but quickly choose a miracle instead of murder. And God himself and all the lights of heaven will gently lean to you and hold you up. For you have chosen to remain where he would have you, and no illusion can attack the peace of God together with his Son. So that's the thing, is you just get to that place of, like years ago, and I think this is in the Crabby Angels Chronicles, where I did that same thing. I was judging a public figure. I was in their yard. I was walking down the street, and this person that I was judging, who lives in San Diego, was here in Los Angeles, in West Hollywood, sitting out at Starbucks at the sidewalk at a table. And I saw, in my inner vision, I saw Jesus behind them saying, I've got this. Like, get out of his fucking yard. I've got this. This is not your concern, okay? Rise above the battleground. And so I did. And within 24 hours, the thing that I had actually been judging this person for, they made it right. They did the right thing, but it wouldn't have made any difference if they didn't, because I was at peace again. I was back to, in my own yard. I cannot control what anybody else is doing in their yard. However, I have dominion over my kingdom, my world. So that's the issue, is not that, but those other people are doing this or that, and it's, am I being bold and audacious in my own kingdom? The world out there that wants separation, that wants fear, that wants attack, is getting louder and louder and more audacious and bold all the fucking time. Well, you can't do anything about that. But what we can do is be as bold and audacious in our own lives and take dominion for our own kingdom, our own world, our own environment. So, excuse me. So, that's what I did this morning. I got very bold and very audacious in all of these memes that I was doing, of saying, I have taken a vow of prosperity, I have taken a vow of health, I have taken a vow of joy, I have taken a vow of aliveness. So that's my choice for me and my kingdom. That's what I have dominion over. And the question is, am I taking responsibility for my own kingdom, for my own well-being? Let me read some of the I said, reality is my bitch. I reject any belief in being a struggling artist. I renounce the error of poverty, sickness, suffering, and struggle. I've taken a vow of prosperity. I've taken a vow of health and happiness. This would be something amazing to say every single day out loud, as many times as you can think of it. To reject, when I was, I've told this story many times, when I was taking confirmation in the Catholic Church, and you stood up and you said, I renounce the glamour of evil. I was like, not so fast. No one had mentioned glamour before. But this is I renounce the error of poverty, of sickness, of sorrow, of suffering, of struggle. I renounce that. It is the only evil there is, in that it is the error of darkness. It is not God's will, right? We go back again to that thing of, that's not God's will. That's not God's will for you. It's just an error. A Course in Miracles says that sin is just a mistake. It's not something to be punished, but we want to renounce the fear, the separation, the worry, and the loyalty that we sometimes have to erroneous religious principles that we were raised with. So I want to read from our Reverend Ike book, Chapter 5, Prosperity Path. This helped to fuel my fire this morning. We have lots of wonderful things here. Okay. A Science of Mind Living principle. Make sure that your mind is at peace with money. For money comes to you through your mind. Everything comes to you through your very own mind. You condition your mind for whatever you want by loving the good which you desire. And yes, I'm going to say it point blank. If you really want to have a good experience of money, you have to learn how to love money positively and correctly. There is nothing wrong. Remember, the Bible is full of a lot of bullshit. There's some good stuff in there, but there's a lot of horse shit in it too. In order to control people, beat people down, it is certainly full of misogyny and hatred towards women. It is full of bullshit with some wisdom in it, okay? So the love of money is the root of all evil is bullshit. The love of money is no different than if you love pizza, than if you love your favorite pen, than if you love, it's a material thing. We just don't want to make it our source. That's where we get off track, is if you make money your source, if you make pizza your source, if you make your favorite pen your source, you're fucked. But the love of money is not bad or wrong. You have to love positively and correctly. I want to say this again, and I'm going to spend some time on it because this is a touchy area. This is where religious people lose out with the money thing. You have to love the good which you desire positively and correctly. If you really want a balanced, successful relationship with money, you have to love money positively and correctly. Notice that in all of my affirmations about money, I'm always careful to say, I do not serve money. Money serves me. That's the balance. That's the trick. Once you start serving money, that's where the evil comes in. As a matter of fact, once you start serving anything, that's where the evil comes in. But everything should be loved in its place. I was so glad to come upon this Irish proverb some time ago. Money swore an oath that nobody that did not love her should ever have her. I write study guide lessons to money condition your mind because you have to come to peace with money in order to have it. So you can replace that word money with anything else, with health. Some people have a subconscious belief that health is wrong because it's disloyal to our family genetics, to the way that we were raised. In our family, we always get sick. We always die early. We always have chronic conditions. It could be about relationships. We all have bad marriages. We all have horrible relationships with our children. We all have. It doesn't matter what it is. You replace that word money with anything because a principle is a principle of everything. Everything. It could be like, in our family, we never have peace because we're worriers. We all have anxiety and we all have mental health issues. And so, of course, I can't really be happy because we all have mental health issues. So you've got to understand that if you love mental health, if you love your marriage, if you love your family relationships, if you to have a nice balance, to not make it your source, but to empower yourself with the words of, reality is my bitch. When we say I create my own reality, that means reality is your bitch. Reality is bending to your consciousness. I see this every day and I love it so, so much now. This whole thing of whatever is in my consciousness shows up in my life. Whatever is in my consciousness shows up in my life. So there's no mystery. There's no something is thrust down upon me from beyond. Everything that shows up in my life is somewhere in my consciousness. So good, bad, or indifferent, it's in my consciousness. Consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. If there's the slightest subconscious feeling that maybe money is dirty or evil, or maybe you shouldn't have much of it, money will know it and oblige your attitude. Money will stay away from you. A child of the infinite cannot have lack. Religious people have such hang-ups about money that in some religious orders, people take the vow of poverty. They say, I'm poor for Christ's sake. How can a child of the infinite have lack? If you have the right understanding with money, you should take a vow of wealth. I swear I'm through with poverty. Or as they say in the street, I swear to God I've had enough of poverty. So you could say, I've had enough of struggle. I've had enough of lack. I've had enough of sickness. I've had enough of misguided relationships in my life. I've had enough of darkness. Be sure you keep your relationship with money balanced. You must let money know point blank that you love it and you understand what the relationship is, and you must get to the point where money loves you. That's when your mind is really money conditioned. You must get to the point where money loves you and just won't stay away from you. Every time you look around, here comes money. The more you use it, the more it comes. The more you enjoy it, the more it comes. While driving to New York City the other day, I noticed that the bridge tolls had gone up to 50 cents. Remember, he wrote this decades and decades ago. When we first moved to United Church, it was only a dime. When I saw that increase, my intellect started to grumble, and then I reminded the intellect, you remember what Reverend Ike said? Instead of grumbling about these prices, say, I give thanks for money to buy whatever I need. So I said, I give thanks for the 50 cents to pay this bill. I want you to start learning to enjoy your money, even in small ways. Whenever you use money, if it's to get on a bus or the subway, enjoy it. Enjoy the fact you have that 50 cents or that 75 cents. Enjoy money, and not simply in big ways. Some of you say, I'm just waiting until I get a whole lot of money, and then I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Start right now enjoying your money in many little ways. If you buy yourself a 5-cent piece of candy, make it your particular business to enjoy that candy. If you only have 15 cents for a package of chewing gum, enjoy it. If you learn how to enjoy money, you establish a love affair with money, and then money will love you. I don't care how hard you work. If you have the poverty idea in your mind, you're never going to get out of poverty. You will never have enough money to meet your needs. You must accept the idea of abundance and prosperity. I like the way the Bible expresses overflowing abundance in the 23rd Psalm, the 5th verse. In that psalm, David simply says, my cups run over. That tells me that people who serve God ought to have overflowing abundance. Here's the thing I could never understand growing up in the fundamental religion. We would always recite the 23rd Psalm and then say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and at the same time say, money is evil. But let me ask you, why do you scrape and scratch so hard to get money if it's evil? Why do you get up early, work so late? I say that he who serves the Lord should have overflowing abundance. My cups runs over means, and I transliterated it, my life overflows with every kind of good. Let's say that. My life overflows with every kind of good. My life overflows with every kind of good. You are the manifestation of the ideas in your mind. The money that you have exactly matches the kind of ideas you have in your mind. The condition you are in exactly matches the kind of ideas that you entertain in your mind. Someone has said so beautiful, ideas make millionaires. That is true, and also multimillionaires. Ideas make multimillionaires. You cannot be a millionaire if you don't have the correct relationship with money. I don't care how you pray. Now, there are those people who, from a financial and material point of view, are actually millionaires and even multimillionaires, but don't enjoy their money because they don't have a balanced relationship with money. Money is to be used, it's to be enjoyed, it's to serve you. And a person's function in relationship to money is to be the master of money. Say to yourself, I am the master of money. I am the master of all things because I am aware of my own self-mastery. Because I am master of myself, I master all things that concern me. Amen, Reverend Ike. I want to read again from Love and the Law that there is so much more. There is so much more. There is so much more good. There is simply no lack or scarcity. There is so much more. He says, I just want to read this one thing he says in here. Here we go. All right. So Ernest Holmes talks about race thought. Race thought meaning the human race, meaning what is in the collective consciousness. So he talks about there are two ways whereby the individual builds up a subjective subconscious. Your subjective consciousness, he just means your subconscious. So let's just say that. Your subconscious is not a mind separated from you. It's not another mind in you. Your subconscious is simply the attraction of thoughts in the past gathered around you. It's your power of attraction. You can see how that would be, since there is but one, that which we call subconscious mind, which is a reality, and what we are depends largely upon that state of thinking. Instead of saying objective mind, we should say subjective state of thought. These thoughts which we have created in the past and which are still around us, and the thoughts which we have and still are attracting, this is the medium which we build between spirit and matter. So what we are and what we shall become depends absolutely upon the state of our subconscious thought, because that is the power of process within us. There are two ways by which this subconscious thinking is creative. One is through race suggestion, just the subconscious thoughts of the human race, which are mostly all about struggle and sacrifice and lack and limitation and competitiveness and all that. Under the heading of race suggestion would come prenatal conditions and influences, hereditary, environment, and what the human race has always believed. So that's all the stuff of what your parents and your early church and even things that you heard when you were in the womb, all of these things go into the subconscious mind as these beliefs which need to be dissolved by the opposite thought, right? You can't drop a thought, you pick up a new thought, right? We simply reverse the thought pattern, as Ernest Holmes says. Since all is mind, and your life and mine are but an activity of mind or thinking forth process or a state of consciousness, which consciousness when it comes with clear thinking, and we cannot hinder its coming because everything is mental activity. It's a matter of course from that. So, this is, I posted also the meme about the Affirmations 101. It's like, if you change your thinking, you transform your life. It is transformation, right? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we must think like God. We think like God thinks. God made us as an extension or a reflection, right? This is what that first beginning of Genesis is saying, is you are an extension, a mirror of God. So you create like God. So God said, here you are, now you have dominion. You have dominion over your world. Like reality is your bitch. We create our own realities through our consciousness. So I just love it. It's like reality is my bitch. I'm creating it through my consciousness, through my beliefs, through my words, through my thoughts, through what I'm focused on. And when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So I really am so grateful that I had that experience on Monday where I got way the fuck off my highlighted route, got way into suffering, because that helped me to know what I do want. I was like, I don't want this. What's creating this is that you're over there in her yard and you're judging what she's doing instead of just creating what you want. This is the thing, is when we start looking at what someone else is doing and getting in their business, that's keeping us from creating in our own lives. We're over there judging what they're creating instead of being over here busy creating what we want for ourselves and our kingdom, right? So that was a wonderful wake-up call for me. That's what Byron Katie says, suffering is a wake-up call. It's saying, wait, I'm believing and thinking something that is out of alignment with my own truth. I've gotten myself off my path. I'm wandering around. Great. She says, it's an alarm clock that says, wake the fuck up. You've gone into a story. You're weaving a story that's taking you further away from center. This is the Taoist teaching that says, the farther one goes from themselves, the less they know. The more I'm moving into somebody else's yard, the less I know. I think I'm an expert. I'm going to talk, you shouldn't be doing this. It's like, shut the fuck up. Get back in your own yard. All your wisdom, all your infinite intelligence is right here in your own yard, in your own center. So I came back to myself and then started doing the work. Started doing the work of, wait a minute, what do I want? What do I want to create for myself? And in that, I then started looking at the things that I was doing that were not bearing good fruit. I was doing all these things that were not bearing good fruit, where I was trying to get, I'm trying to get, I was trying to get like more books to sell, more books selling. I was trying to get more followers. I was trying to get more engagement, all of those things. And that was all totally a waste of fucking time, erroneous bullshit of things. And then in the trying, then you sort of adapt yourself to, well, what is the algorithm like, or what are people respond? And it was like, oh, thank you, podcast, for waking me up to, I went into judgment of you, and that helped me get back in my own yard, because I didn't like suffering, to realize where, oh, I'm not doing things, like, I need to pay more attention to what I'm doing. Less attention to what they're doing. I need to pay more attention to what the fuck I'm doing, and start doing things not to have an effect, but doing things because I like doing this. I like this. This is my passion. This is my joy. This is what works for me, and fuck everything else. And so I started dropping things and saying, what the fuck am I doing that for? No, I'm not doing that anymore. And immediately, just so quickly, was able to get back onto my joyous, highlighted route, minding my own fucking business in my own fucking yard, and releasing all the hostages again, and saying, I don't care what anybody else is doing. It's that scriptural thing. There's lots of good stuff in there too. Don't get me wrong. Like, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So as for me and my house, what is my house? My mental house. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the spiritual truth. We're going to leave everybody else out of the formula, and we're going to serve the spirit. And I'm swinging for the fucking fences, okay? I'm going to be bold and outrageous and say stuff that might turn people off, and, things like, reality is my bitch, and I've taken a vow of prosperity and health and joy and love, when everybody's saying, oh, but what's happening in the world? Okay, I give zero fucks about that. I'm going to read, oh God, I love this book so much. This is Charles Fillmore's prosperity book. I fucking love this book. Okay, so this is lesson 3, faith in the invisible substance, the key to demonstration. So it's got like a couple of little reminders, like warning, like now a warning, that I love. So here we go. People say it's God's will for us to have some hard times and some good times, feasts and famines. That is not logically true when you consider God as principle. If you think of God as a man who arbitrarily gives or withholds by the exercise of his personal will, then you might reach such a conclusion. But God is changeless, and if he gives one moment, he will continue to give eternally. It is his nature to give, and his nature is eternally the same. When you talk of hard times, famines, lack, you are talking of something that has no place in the mind of God. You are not acknowledging God in all your ways, but are acknowledging error and affirming that the world has its source in outer things. You must turn around and get into this consciousness that in mind, in spirit, there is abundance. We often wonder how Jesus could multiply the 5 loaves and 2 fishes to meet the hunger of 5,000 people. It was done through a thorough understanding of the law. The 5 loaves represent the 5 sense application of divine substance. The 2 fishes represent the yeast, or multiplying power that put into substance, the source of the increase. We're told that if the yeast of a single setting of bread were allowed to increase, it would fill a space larger than this planet. This is something that I like to think of from time to time, is that like when an embryo is beginning to develop, it is just pulling whatever it needs from the mother, right? It's just pulling whatever it needs from the mother. So we sort of get the idea of that like, okay, well, the mother is the source of supply for this fetus as it develops into a baby? Well, there's so many things in the world, even in this physical universe, that are drawing divine substance. That's why this chapter is about substance. That is drawing divine substance from out of the ethers, from out of nothing, just like this, that is invisible to us. It's drawing it from out of the invisible. And this is how we're meant to think of our lives. We start to think about, but where's it going to come from? Where's this going to come from? Where is the money going to come from? Where's this health going to come from? Where's this vitality going to come from? Where are the opportunities going to come from? Where's the jobs going to come from? Where's all of these things? And that takes us right into lack and limitation, because so often we see the limitation of, but there's not enough to go around, right? There's only so many bits. But this is not the spiritual truth. The spiritual truth is that we pull it from out of nothing, from out of seeming nothingness. We just pull it out from that divine substance, just like this idea that this yeast, if it was just left, it would just pull and pull and pull from out of the ethers till it took over the planet. This is how we want to think. This is the way that we want to think, that the very cells of our body are pulling source energy to create health and vitality, that it's only subconscious thinking that we need to be ill, that we need to be old, that we need to be tired, that we need to be sick, that we need to be whatever because our family was that way, or that's what's going around, or whatever it is. That's why I posted this in the blog, where I just listen to, when I'm feeling off, I go to sleep at night playing that whole fruitage chapter, which is like 3 fucking hours long or something, from Science and Health, where it's just people telling their fruitage stories of, I just stopped all medicine, I stopped all this, and I didn't even have a practitioner, I just read the book and I got healed. Because the book, over and over again, that's all Mary Baker Eddy basically just says over and over and over and over and over. She's stating her case, and then she's proving it, just over and over and over again, of God's will. Just like Charles Fillmore just said here, God's will is only abundance and good and health and joy and peace and all, whatever things are good, true, lovely, of good report, think on these things. That's the truth. Nothing else is God's will. Anything else that you're experiencing has to be a mistake in your mind or in your subconscious mind. You just keep pouring in truth, pouring in truth, pouring in truth, pouring in truth, and things will turn around. That's what the word repent means. Repent means turn around. You're going the wrong way, just turn around, go the other way. He said it right here, turn around, go the other way. Okay? So, all right. This shows there's no limit to the increasing power of elemental substance. It is for us to use as Jesus used this power. It was not a miracle, but something we all have within us as an unawakened ability, and that we can learn to develop and use as Jesus did. Jesus entered into the silence, prayed, and blessed the substance at hand. If we would multiply and increase the power, substance, and life in us and at our command, we must get very still and realize that our resource is spirit, that it is God, that it is here in all its fullness. We must make contact with it in faith. Then we shall find it welling up within us. Some of you have no doubt had that experience, but if you just let it ooze away without understanding it, you get no benefit. Here is the key to this life and substance that you feel when you sit in the silence. You must begin to speak these words with power and authority. When there is a worldwide belief in financial depression, lack of circulation, stagnation, things do not go as we expect, and we develop fear, a belief in lack of circulation and money. But if we know the law, we do not come under this fear thought. At any time, many persons make money. They use this law and take advantage of opportunity. We should bless everything we have, for we can increase and multiply what we have by speaking words. Jesus said that his words were spirit and life. Did you ever think that your word is charged with great spiritual life force? We must realize that whatever we put as seed into the subconscious soil will eventually bring forth after its kind, and we must exercise the greatest caution so we do not think or talk about insufficiency or allow others to talk to us about it. As we sow in mind, we reap in manifestation. Some of our well-meaning friends have a way of loading us up with hard times ideas that disperse this prosperity substance that we have accumulated. We must make a vow of success, a vow of health, a vow of love, a vow of inner peace, a vow of grace, and leave behind all loyalty to sacrifice, suffering, deprivation, sickness, and struggle. We must dissolve and neutralize all belief in things like the starving artist or poverty is a virtue. Poverty is evil. Poverty is darkness. This is in in Catherine Ponder's book, where she says that poverty is the source of so much darkness in the world because it's what leads people to have to do things or feel like they have to do things like steal in order to get by. So there is nothing virtuous about sickness or poverty or depression or, oh, I'm depressed because I feel so much more than other people. It's because I'm such a loving person that I feel the sadness of the universe. Fuck you. That is a lie of the ego. It is the father of all lies. Jesus was not depressed. Jesus felt everything and said, this is an illusion. This is an illusion. So much of Jesus' stories were, I'm going to a party, I'm going to a wedding, I'm going to dinner with friends, I'm going here and there, and he just healed people along the way. And every now and then he would stop and give a little speech of the good news, right? What is the good news? I come that you have life and have it more abundantly. I want to read also here a little bit from Ask and It Is Given. In chapter 16, we are co-creating within a magnificently diverse universe. If you have the ability to imagine it or even think about it, this universe has the ability and the resources to deliver it fully to you. For this universe is like a well-stocked kitchen with every ingredient imaginable at your disposal. And within every particle of this universe is that which is wanted and the lack of it. This perspective of abundance and the lack of it is the environment in which focus is possible, and focus activates the law of attraction. If you do not have the ability to know what you do want, you will not have the ability to know what you don't want. And without the ability to know what you do not want, you could not know what you do want. And so it is through your exposure to life experience. That's the contrast. So this is why the Course says, when you're not feeling good, it's a wake-up call. Somewhere my mind has drifted off center. I've gone into the illusion, I've gone into fear, I've gone into separation. This is good. So negative feelings are not bad. Negative feelings are fabulous alarm clocks. So when you're suffering, you're going, wait a minute. Just like the Course says, I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. And so I'm going to turn to the Holy Spirit and say, well, help me see where I've gone wrong. Where have I gone off? And it's, for most of us at this point, it's not that hard to figure out. We can usually say, what have I been thinking? What have I been thinking? Oh, that's why I'm suffering. I'm believing some thought that is not spiritual truth. And so, of course, I'm suffering. And I don't want that. What I do want is this. So, here we go. Unwanted must be allowed for wanted to be received. Sometimes our physical friends express their desire for a less diverse universe. They long for a place where there are not so many unwanted things, a place where more things are exactly as they prefer them to be. And we always explain that you did not come forth into this physical experience wanting to take all the experiences that exist and whittle them down to a handful of good ideas upon which all of you agree, for that would lead to endedness which cannot be. This is an expanding universe, and all things must be allowed. So, people get to choose hatred, war, attack, defense, separation. They get to choose all that. And I had to get to, oh, she's allowed to choose to have on her podcast people who are hateful warriors of separation and bitchiness. She gets to have those people on her podcast. I have to allow that, and that contrast actually helps me to discern more clearly what I do want. I'm telling you, that one experience on Monday afternoon helped me clear the fucking decks of a lot of shit that I didn't know was pulling me down. And I just went, oh, eliminate that. This is one of the Catherine Ponders. The first chapter is eliminate what you don't want. So you clean out your glove compartment, you clean a physical space, and you make an elimination list. And I was like, I've let a lot of rats into the basement of my house. And out you go, out you go, out you go, out you go. Right now, out you go, out you go. Eliminate. I was letting in too many things that I had projected as something good, which was actually a wolf in sheep's clothing, okay? Baby, it was a wolf in sheep's clothing. And it allowed me to let go of something that had really been, had ushered in that fear. And so it was a way of letting go even more of the world in order to really be in my kingdom. In my kingdom, to go, not of the kingdom. Oh, I love that guy. He will say that. That's not of the kingdom. Like, he will watch somebody cooking something and they'll put in something that, because he usually is watching people who do really fucked up weird cooking shit like they do on TikTok, where they, and so somebody will put something in and he'll go, that is not of the kingdom. Like, what are you doing? Okay, so do not put those unwanted ingredients in your pie. Imagine yourself as a chef in an extremely well-stocked kitchen that contains every imaginable ingredient. Let us say that you have a clear idea of the culinary creation you desire and you understand. So I'm not going to read that all. You know, it's like going into a well-stocked kitchen and saying, there shouldn't be hot peppers in here because I don't like hot peppers. But everybody's using the kitchen. And so just because you don't want them doesn't mean people shouldn't have access to them or be able to use them. We're living in a diverse kitchen where people like hot stuff. They get to put it in, but don't put it in your pie. And what happens is, if you give all your attention to somebody who's using peppers, it goes in your pie. Because whatever you give your attention to is going in your pie. So that was my big wake up was, what are you giving your attention out here? Bring your attention back here. What do you want? What other people are creating is none of your fucking business unless it inspires you. If it inspires you, like everything I've read here, these are all people who inspire me. These are all people in my posse, right? Who are like, oh, I like how they think, I like how they talk, I like how they act. That's what I want to focus on, is what I want more of in my consciousness, because whatever's in my consciousness is what is showing up in my life. And as we've progressed in this module, I've gotten more, here we go, be very, very picky. Be very, very picky about what you give your attention to, what you're choosing, what you love. Be very picky, meaning I'm very picky about how I want to feel. I don't have a lot, A Course in Miracles says that as you do, and Abraham says the same thing. Abraham will say, people will say to us, Abraham, is it normal for when you start doing Abraham for all hell to break loose? And the Course says the same thing. It says, once you get a roll going here, it will seem to you at times like things have gotten worse. But what's really happened is you've gotten pickier and more sensitive in how you feel. So I grew up as a worrier full of anxiety. And so I was used to that. So once I started moving into a teaching like the Course about inner peace, I started having more experiences of inner peace, more and more, like adding, just going, oh, there was a pocket of it, oh, there. And I talked about this on on the Spiritual Entrepreneur channel about all the things I did. I did 10 sessions of rebirth. I did 10 sessions of body work. I did hypnotherapy. I did all these things that started increasing my inner peace. But what happened was then, when I felt off, it felt worse, because now it was like your palate changes, right? You get a more sophisticated palate if you're working in that direction. So now, I'm used to more inner peace. So when I don't feel inner peace, it feels worse than when I was feeling it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So you start to get picky, and you start to be discerning, and you become what Esterham calls a vibrational snob. Like, I'm a vibrational snob. I don't want to hang out around low vibrational environments and low vibrational belief systems and low vibrational doings. So I've become much more, I just wrote an article for the Miracle Distribution Center, their Holy Encounter, that will come out. It'll be the November, December. So you write them 2 months ahead. And I said, it's so weird to try to write them in the world that we live in now. It's so fast changing that I feel like, well, if I write this now, 2 months from now, everything in the whole world could have completely turned upside down again. And this will be, so anyhow. So what I wrote was, because it's for the November, December issue, I said, we need a little Christmas. So that phrase came from the movie play Anti-Mame, the book Anti-Mame that became a play, where, Rosalind Russell, the Anti-Mame character, has gotten fired from Macy's. She's had a crazy, chaotic day. She's gotten fired. It's the Depression. She's lost everything except her apartment, basically. It's weeks before Christmas. She goes back home. She's so depressed. Patrick has come home from school. The two people on staff are there. And she says, let's exchange our presents now. And they're like, it's 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas. She goes, but we need it now. So when they did the play Mame, that became a whole song. We need a little Christmas right this very minute. And I see this in the world. QVC does Christmas in July, but this year they started it in June and it went into August. So it was longer. And I had written in the blog before about how I found, and this has been going on, I didn't know it till this year, Summerween, where people start celebrating Halloween in the summer. They want their Halloween stuff out now. And to me, that is the yearning that people have to feel good. So they want this magical thing, this mystical, magical environment of light, because the darkness has gotten such a foothold in the physical world. And so people are like, well, let's have Christmas, in July, let's have it in June, let's have it in August, let's have it in December, let's start Halloween now. We want to have this environment, and I think that I'm all for it. That's why I have a Christmas tree up all year now, is we're creating our own mental environment, our own emotional environment, our own vibrational environment. I've become a vibrational snob. I go to places where it feels good to be there. I talk to people that it feels good to talk to. I watch things. If the podcast comes on and I see the direction they've taken is towards darkness, I unsubscribe and block it. I'm like, I don't fuck around anymore. I'm like, I ain't fucking around with my vibration. Reality is my bitch, and it's up to me what I let in, what I believe, what I talk about, what I speak into existence. And just in these past few weeks, as I keep cleaning up and keep cleaning it up, I see the fruitage of it. I see the results in my life. I see things shifting and changing, and as I amplify certain things in my consciousness, I see momentum building and feeling better. But I don't curse the contrast. I don't think, well, I should feel good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know there's going to be contrast, and that the contrast is helping me. It's helping me to see when, it's like Abraham will talk about those bumps on the road when you're driving down the freeway and there's like those strips that are bumpy, so you veered into the other lane. It's like, it's telling you get back in your own fucking lane. You're gonna hit somebody. Something not good is gonna happen if you don't wake the fuck up. So that's how I feel now, is much more awake, much more focused on wait a minute, I've been a little meek and passive with myself. I've been a little bit lazy here about letting in fear. And, that just gets us absolutely nowhere. Letting fear in the door is going to absolutely get you nowhere. That there is, such power in boldness and audaciousness in saying something like, look, reality's my bitch. I'm creating my own reality. I set the tone, I set the vibration, I set the consciousness, and then life responds to me. Life isn't happening to me, life is responding to me, to my vibration, my consciousness, my beliefs, my words, the things that I'm saying. And so, here's one of the things. I printed this out, but I have it here. So I have so much fucking money. I have more money than I even know what to do with. I have continual, massive, overflowing amounts of money. Money comes and money comes and money comes, and there's an endless supply of money, and it comes so quickly and so naturally and so rapidly and so easily, and it's always just coming. Plethoras and avalanches and overflowing amounts of money are just so mine and so in my life. It's just constantly more money than I know what to do with. I'm not available for anything but my good. Upset and struggle has no place in my life or my world. I am so cash positive that debts are always paid off. Money gets to work for me because money loves me. Money is my very good friend. My energetic match for money keeps up-leveling all the time. I'm in the money manifesting upgrade program. It's all happening now, and how is not my part. You get yourself on rampages of health and love and joy and abundance and success and right thinking. You literally speak yourself into a new frequency, a new vibration, a new high vibration, high watch. So that's my vibration and my frequency on this Wednesday. And it's just, as far as I'm concerned, we're just going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling in that direction of yes. I want to live in the kingdom of grace and effortless accomplishment and being the vessel through which God flows. But I can't do that and have this fear and subconscious poverty thinking and loyalty to sickness and death and sacrifice and all that, and think that I'm going to have the full benefits of living in that kingdom of grace. No, can't do it. Thank you, Bethany. All right, so we're going to do a prayer, and then off we go into this glorious, prosperous, healthy, joyous, God-ordained, happy day. So we close our eyes, take a deep breath. Just remembering who we are, God beings, ordained by God to have dominion over our kingdom. A Course in Miracles says, I have a kingdom I must rule. I have a kingdom that I must rule. I rule it by focusing my attention on the spiritual truth of limitless, opulent, lavish good, that God's will is always and only good, and anything else is a lie and an illusion. And so I align myself now that all of us gathered here in this moment, and who will gather at any other time to hear or see this, are now right-minded, right thinking, right loving, right living. That for us, all things are possible as God beings. And as we focus on what we choose, on our intention, on our desire, we are guided by this divine presence within, where to go, what to do, what to say, and to whom. Remembering now, as always, the way that we will know this divine presence and joy love is by letting it flow through us consciously, directing it where we will, for we have free will. that it circulates back to us, increased, blessed, pressed down, and overflowing. For this we are thankful. So be it. So it is. Amen. And thank you, Julie, you beautiful thing. Thank you, everyone. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a fabulous, blessed day.